Good morning. It's the vegan sleever, Cynthia Dales. I decided to come on and make a video, and it's going to be pieced together because this is going to have some cooking time, but I wanted to show you my veggie dump soup. Have you ever gotten to where you just can't do another salad and you just have had enough? So this is a liquid salad, vegan style. So get ready, and I'm going to do some chopping in the beginning so you show you kind of how I do it, and then I'll show you the cooking process. So here we go. Watch the magic of moving my camera, so be patient with me. Okay. All right, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. All right, and it doesn't fall. Okay, cool. So these are carrots, some celery I pre-chopped. Yes, I have the obligatory potatoes, some onion, some cabbage, some organic crushed tomatoes. I'm thinking I'm gonna throw in some black-eyed peas for some protein. So I wanted to show you with the carrots, I cut them like this. There's this really cool thing that my mom showed me. I didn't know this existed, but it's this little tool. This is sharp, but you can touch it, but it's sharp, and it really makes carrots get that crinkle look. So if you've ever wondered how they get that crinkle look, it's this little thing right here. And all you do is give it a little chop, and then you have your crinkle cut carrots. So that's the first part we're going to do, is finish cutting up these carrots. And what I do is I start with a mirepoix, and I don't know if you know what a mirepoix is, but it's the carrots and celery and onion, and we'll put that in the pan and cook that down so that the vegetables get a little soft. Your potatoes go in a little bit later, and your cabbage, I always put that in last because it doesn't take very long to wilt down. But the secret of this is why I call it a dump soup, is you know, you always have those little bags of extra veggies. And I'm cheating here because I'm doing it all at once. But you always have those extra bags of veggies in your freezer when you haven't used a whole bag. And so what I do is take all those. So there's our cut up celery. Put that in. I'm putting them in my little colander because I rinsed everything off. Try and buy your vegetables organic if you can. There's a lot of good farmers markets around, and you can buy them at places. And I like my vegetables kind of rustic, so I don't go too small with them. So we're gonna put all that in there. And one more. And I'm using a whole onion because I like the flavor of onion. But you don't want the pieces like too big, because you know, then you get a huge chunk of onion in your mouth. So, all right, so there's that. And then the potatoes I'll cut later because I want them to stay fresh, but I'm gonna leave the skin on because there's a lot of good nutrition in the skin. I just went through and cut off any weird spots. So these we'll put in later, and then the cabbage we'll cut later, and I do a rough cut on the cabbage, and we'll do that later. So now I'm gonna pause this and move over to the stove. So now we have our mirepoix, which is our onions and our celery and our carrots. And I put just a little bit of avocado oil in. So we're gonna let that start simmering. So what you want it is so that you can see that the onions start getting a little clear. So you're just going to let this probably about 5 to 8 minutes, depending on how thick your vegetables are. I'm going to get this a little bit closer so you can see better. So this is going to be rustic style cooking here. Okay, so we're going to let this cook down. And in the meantime, show you the ingredients. So we're going to throw in some black-eyed peas, organic. And for our broth sauce, we're going to throw in some organic crushed tomatoes, fire roasted, give a nice flavor. And then I use vegetable broth, low sodium, because there's obviously some sodium in the beans and that, and we'll put in some different seasonings too. So we want to make sure that we don't keep adding salt on salt on salt. You want to put salt in it for flavor, but you don't want to keep all your products have salt in it and then you end up with a really super salty product. So we're going to let those cook down for a little bit. Stirring. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to go ahead and while this is going, get out some of my frozen vegetables and cut up my cabbage. Okay, so like I told you, this is a dump soup, so we have all these little packages of extra veggies that we're going to throw in. These are organic peas, and peas have a lot of protein in them. People don't realize how much protein they have in them. And then I have this other bag of just mixed regular vegetables, so we'll throw those in too. But we'll throw those in right before we throw the cabbage in because they don't take long, obviously, to cook. And your green beans are your indicator when your soup's ready, because you know how they have that kind of fake-looking green here, but when they turn that dull green, that's pretty much when I know my soup's ready to be done. So now, I'm gonna put these over here. I'm going to show you how I cut up. I'm probably going to use a half a head of cabbage because I really enjoy cabbage. So I took out the outer leaves. And cabbage is not always easy to cut, but we're going to cut by the stem like this. Okay, and so you've got a pretty good amount of cabbage. And I just do a rough cut like this. Because again, it wilts down, so it's real easy to eat. So I do this here, just give it a rough cut. So my cabbage is ready to go. And then the only thing I didn't use is, and we'll put that in here because like I said, I've already cleaned this. So that'll be for later. And then my potatoes, I'm not going to cut those quite yet because I want to make sure that they stay nice and fresh. So we'll do that. So I'm going to take you back over to the bowl. Hang on just a second. Okay, I'm back. So we're still working on our veggies, but they're starting to loosen up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and start doing some stuff here. So the next thing we want to do is get that up a little bit higher because obviously we're going to have to put our broth in to get it to boil. I know you can't see my face. There I am. Hi. Okay, so now I'm just going to probably dump in, at least to start one, of the veggie broth. And we'll start building some seasonings in there. So there's one. And I like, believe it or not, poultry seasoning. It's mixed. It doesn't have poultry in it, but it has all kinds of thyme, sage, marjoram, a little bit of rosemary, black pepper, and nutmeg. So we're going to put just a tiny bit of that in there. I am not a measurer, so I just kind of go by and put that in there. And the good thing is you can always adjust a little bit. And then I'm going to put a little bit of celery salt because I like that flavor in addition to. And you can always add salt, you can't take it out. And then I always use a little bit of this. I like the flavorings of that, so we're going to put a little bit of that in there. Okay, and so now we're going to wait for this to come up to a boil. And the celery salt had salt in it too. And I do have a vegan, it's a vegetable broth concentrate cube that you can put into if you want it to be a stronger flavor. So now we're going to let this come up to a boil and let it boil for a while so that it can start softening those vegetables up more. And now we will go cut potatoes. Okay, so I'm leaving the skin on because I like that flavor and to make them a little more rustic. And like I said, I don't want you to think they have to be any particular size. We're not going a Julia Child here, but you want to go, I like a little bit of a good sized potato there, so we're going to put that. And yes, I am putting potatoes and beans in here because like I said, we're going to get some beans in there for protein and fiber. And the same thing, we're going to put some more fiber in with our potatoes. And I'm not going to overwhelm the soup with potatoes. So again, this is liquid salad. I can just do 3. always be careful with your knife. I've had some incidences. We won't discuss that today. As you can see, the spot, they start turning color, so that's why you want to wait to cut those. I think I'm going to go with that since I'm putting the beans in, so we'll put this one over here. So now I'm going to move my potatoes and my cabbage over, so I've got everything ready to go over there. Okay, so I'm back here. All right, so I'm going to slide my potatoes in. I'm making a big mess in the kitchen. And again, I like a chunkier soup, so, but we may go ahead and put in some of the more broth because I still have quite a bit to add. I'm going to crank that up a little bit. So I'm going to probably put in another half a box. I put in a whole box, and we'll probably put in another half a box. I have a feeling we might end up adding the whole thing. All right. So I'm going to let this now come to a boil so that that can start cooking. And actually, I think I'll go ahead and add in the other vegetables too. So we're going to let this go. Probably let this go for 5 to 10 minutes and let it come to a boil and start softening. And then we'll add in the rest of our ingredients. So as you can see, it's starting to boil a little bit here, and we got some action going on. I did add about 2 cups of water and the rest of the stock in here, so I had a little bit more room. This is going to make a lot of soup. So you don't have to use quite as large portions. I'm probably going to add only a half a can of this, and you can do this so it doesn't spill all over. Just kind of go by your, kind of makes a mess, but you can see it turns it a little red and it adds some flavor to it. And put this down because it's messy. Okay. And I did put a little bit of garlic powder in here. I actually didn't have any garlic, which kind of surprised me, but I did put a little bit of garlic powder in here because my Italian friend Lois would be really mad at me if I didn't put garlic in it. So a little bit of garlic. So we're gonna let that come up to a boil and then let that simmer for probably about 3 to 5 minutes. And then we'll add in our frozen vegetables and our black-eyed peas. And at the very last minute, we'll put in the cabbage and let that go for about 5 to 10. So it's kind of, this is a little bit of a process, but the cool thing is you can take this and put it in small containers, you know, about this size. That's actually salt, but these little containers, 1.5 cups to 2 cups, and you can freeze them, and they make great quick lunches. You just defrost them the night before, and you can take them with you to work, instead of having to, sometimes you just don't want a salad. So we're gonna let this go for a little bit longer, and then we'll add in the rest of our stuff, and then I'll show you the finished product. Okay, through the magic of TV or video here, it's been about 6 minutes, 7 minutes. I was gonna show you the trick. So what you do is you bring your vegetables up and you check them with the fork. If you can start sticking the fork in them and they're starting to get a little bit soft, which they are. So now we're going to start adding some of our frozen vegetables. But quick, I want to show you something real quick. This thing is really cool. It's called Super Cubes. And what you can do is, it has measurements in milliliters, but you can put your soup in here and you put the lid on it. And it's the squishy stuff here. So you put that in the freezer and it freezes your soup. And then once your soup is frozen, then you can take it out of there, and then you can put these chunks into bags. So you can put those in a container to defrost them and then eat them. But that way they're store-wise. You're storing your soup like this and it takes up a lot less space. So I'm not a sponsor of Super Cubes, but they're on Amazon, so you can go on Amazon and pick those up. So I'm going to go ahead and use the whole can of my beans, since I've got quite a bit here. Those don't really need to cook. Those are just being heated through, so we'll just leave them in there. But now we're going to add our spare veggies. So we got some peas. And then this is just a mixed blend of mixed vegetables, corn, carrots, green beans, and peas. So we'll throw those in there. And remember, this is liquid salad, so we're focusing on nutrition. So we're not going to stress as much about the protein, even though there is protein in the peas and in the black-eyed peas. but we're worrying more about getting your nutrition. So this is a liquid salad. So again, that's why we're adding all the vegetables and everything into it, because you've got good nutrition there. So again, your focus is going to be, this would be replace your salad. Okay, so now the last thing we're going to do, and your peas will sink once they start cooking, but see how green the green beans are? And I know you've seen canned green beans, and you can do this with canned fruit, but what I want you, or canned vegetables, but what I want you to do is get the no salt added so you can control the salt. But see how green they are? They're super, super green. Let's see if I can get that focus. What they'll do is they'll turn like more like a army green when, and that's kind of your indicator in your vegetables. So as you can tell, I'm getting a maximum density here. So now, don't let this alarm you, the cabbage. It looks like it's a ton, but it really does cook down. So you're gonna put that on top, like so. And actually I could probably put some more in there because I really love cabbage. But, so now we're gonna let this cook down. And again, this is your technical device for making sure that your veggies are cooked all the way through. And you're gonna let this probably simmer for 8 to 10 minutes and let it really go. Also check your seasoning. You've added a lot of vegetables, so what you want to do is just check your broth, make sure it's got, you know, enough salt and other pepper and seasoning, and you can add. Don't be afraid to just put stuff in a pot and make stuff, and the seasonings that you like. Even if you just want salt and pepper, that's fine too. Add a little garlic, a little onion, that's good flavor. The vegetables taste wonderful, so don't be alarmed about trying to get, it's an experiment. But I make these soups all the time, and they don't turn out ever really the same. But I'm more focused on getting the vegetables in to my diet and getting a little bit of protein, but mostly the vegetables in place of a salad. So, okay, so I'll bring you back once this has had a chance to simmer, come up to a boil and simmer for a while, and then you can see how wonderful it is. So we're about 10 minutes in. We're gonna go another probably 10 minutes and let it boil, just so it can really cook all the way through. One thing is a caution, if you're using canned vegetables for this, again, use salt, no salt added, but you don't have to cook it as long, because if you're using frozen vegetables, you have to cook them a little bit more thoroughly. But with canned vegetables, they're already cooked. So that's a true dump soup. You're just dumping and heating through. So this is going to go for probably another good 10 minutes. And you can see the cabbage is really starting to, and the peas are starting to change color. And the potatoes are starting to soften up. And I put that whole can of black-eyed peas in there, and you can't even hardly tell they're in there. So this is probably going to go for another 7 to 10 minutes. One thing I wanted to tell you was when you're dividing this up, those rubber molds, the ones I was telling you about, they actually also have regular measurements on the inside. So they have the milliliters, and then they have the cup measurements too. So this, a whole cube right here, if you can see, that's a cup. So you literally could have a cup of soup and fill these up and then freeze them. So just as a thing, it's just a little trick for you, which is great, especially if you're in a hurry or you don't want to cook some night. I do this with, my mom does this with soup, but we do this with soup, chili, that type stuff. So you have them available, or if you want containers, you could put them in little containers too and freeze them. But it gives you an opportunity to have a fresh cooked meal. Let me see if I can get this to come up so you can see my face. It gives you an opportunity so you can have a fresh cooked meal at work instead of having to have a salad if you decide you want something other than a salad. But again, this is about getting vegetable nutrition in you and some protein, but it's more about getting your vegetable nutrition versus always having to have a salad. That's why I called it the liquid salad, because that's kind of what it is. It's a lot of vegetables. So anyway, we're going to let this cook off for another 5 to 7 minutes, and then I am going to scoop up a bowl and have some before I start on my calls with my clients. But we're going to let this go for a little bit longer, and then I'll take a final shot for you so you can see it and then watch me eat it, because I'm really excited to have this for lunch today. All right, so we're at the final stage here of cooking. As you can see, it's going. I wanted to show you some of the vegetables in here. So if you see your potatoes, you can push right into them. And I'm looking for, aha, there it is. So I wanted you to see the green beans, how they change colors. And that's kind of my indicator with frozen vegetables, especially with the green beans. Your carrots can be another one, especially the fresh carrots. Just make sure that you can push into them and that they're soft, and you're good to go. So I think we are ready to go ahead and try some of this soup. So here is my bowl of soup. You can see it's still pretty hot. Okay, so that's my lunch. Sorry about my hand. I'm trying to get this to work here a little bit. All right. So anyway, easy. You can freeze it with freezes well, and then that way you have lots of lunches or dinners if you're in a hurry. You get home from work late one night. You know, if you have other family members that want meat with it, makes a great hamburger soup. Get some really lean hamburger, cook it up, and you can put that with the soup, and you've got hamburger soup, and that's basically what hamburger soup is. So, and it tastes really good, and your family will love it. If you're still eating meat protein, same thing for you. Or you can even put chicken in it too if you want, and maybe some green chilies, and give it a little bit of a southwestern flair. So anyway, I am gonna go eat my lunch because I'm hungry, and this looks really good. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the bell wherever it is over here. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate your support. And this is the Vegan Sleever. Have a great one.